I'm live now. I'm kind of feels like they're leaving their stuff overnight as well. So one by the pharmacy, just a little where the hard portion. Yeah. Someone else should. Okay, so welcome along, everybody. Just before we go any further, I'll just give everyone a heads up that this meeting is being live streamed on our YouTube channel. So just be aware of that when you are speaking. We'll start with our karakia, so I'll ask everybody to stand, and the words will appear on the screen behind me.
Whakatahoe take.
Kia mā kene kene ki kia mā tara tara ki e hi ake ana te atakura he tio, he huka, he hauhu, he We've got a really good turnout for the public today, so it's great to see. First item on the agenda is apologies. We don't have any apologies. We have everybody here today, although we have 3 members joining us online. You'll see them on the screen there. We've got Ali, Victoria and Jake online. Declarations of interest, I haven't received any. Item 3, confirmation of previous minutes. Do we have a mover and a seconder for those? Emma has moved, Pauline seconded. Put that motion, all those in favour?
Aye.
That takes us to item 4, which is our public forum. We've got a lot of people speaking today. Right. We'll start with Samantha. Who was here a second ago.
Ourselves is just trying to.
Okay, so we'll come back to Samantha then. Okay, we'll jump to St Albans Primary School. We've got Andrea and Ali here to speak to us today. Welcome along.
Thank you.
Do we just sit here? Yeah, go for it.
We've got a web. Oh, yeah, there it is. Kia ora koutou. Carly Bristed toka whenua. I'm the board chair of Te Kura o Hato Pani, St Albans School, and I'm with Andrea Hannett, who's our Tumuaki, our principal, and we've already submitted to you, and I'm aware we've only got a very short time to present, so I'll jump straight into our wee presentation we've prepared for you. So just as background, we've got about 600 students from year 0 to 6. Pretty much all of those children come from our school zone and live in St Albans and are St Albans residents. Our school straddles Cranford Street, which is obviously we're highly impacted by the DMP and Northern Arterial. Where do I change the slide? Next slide. Yeah, is that what I said? Yeah. So we've been involved heavily in the DMP with in previous years, and I was part of that as a board member. And we have we consider ourselves to have a very positive relationship with the council and in their engagement, and we'd like to keep it that way. So next slide. And so just in terms of some background, we submitted on the DMP in 2019, and a few things we asked for in relation to what we're presenting today is that we felt that Westminster and Cranford Street intersection needed a dedicated pedestrian traffic light phase for the safety of our tamariki. We also felt there was we sought a bit more clarity on the proposed traffic calming measures around Courtney Street and Westminster Street that was in the DMP, and also that we advocated for a safe crossing point directly outside our school's Westminster Street entrance. The council listened to us, but they did not implement any of those requested changes. So next slide, please. In terms of what the council did do is we put a pedestrian crossing was put on Cranford Street outside English Park, which was helpful. And they committed to ongoing safety audits through and traffic monitoring, as well as considering improving active transport. So next slide. And it is useful to note, Abley traffic consultants did a survey on our school during the DMP as on behalf of the council. And we've just put this slide up there because it's interesting to note that over 50% of our students and families go to and from school by active transport. And so therefore it's really important to keep our reiki safe. And I'll hand over.
That's 55.
Over 50%, yeah. Yeah. Next slide. Yeah.
So I'm here just to talk about, obviously I started in July 2022, so I've had to get up to speed thanks to Carly and a lot of interesting reading. What we're asking probably of the council, next slide please Mark, would be just to know the near misses. One thing I'm a little concerned about is probably the lack of data collected. That's mostly from our side as well as general data when we've got a number of people talking to us about near misses. I am one of the near misses up there. It happened to be the day the photographer was there. So a person turning through a red arrow as I walked across the green man. That was from Westminster through to Cranford. But that is what we are hearing frequently. It's what we're seeing frequently. We've got 2 staff members, Lee, who's just changed over to Cherie. The other set of near misses that come through are people going north from Cranford through to the city south, running orange and reds. And obviously, because we've got a staff member out there with a sort of a lollipop. The other big one that's coming through from our parents and community members is the lights you put in and the crossing you put in outside English Park. For some reason, I don't know what it is to do with it, whether it's angle of lights, but the motorists are not seeing that, so they're not stopping. They're looking at the next set of lights ahead. So our parents are teaching children not to cross there. They're either dropping them off, which is causing congestion, or they are teaching them not to cross on green men at all. And that's been a lot of near misses recorded at school on that. And then, of course, we've got with St Albans Primary and the wee girl that was knocked off, that's that Westminster congestion. I would kind of probably like to highlight, actually go next slide, because we'll highlight. One of the things we asked, and this has been actioned already, so I don't really need to dwell on this slide too much, but thank you very much, because since our letter, we've had auditors out, they've spoken to us, they've collected a whole lot of information regarding near misses and where we're seeing the most effect for our kids and community. And so next slide, please. One thing we want really considered when we're looking at solutions is we are not the experts. We know what we're seeing. And a lot of it is to do with, I don't know how you're going to change motorist behaviour, but having expert involvement, people that know how to fix these issues, but also things like putting in a controlled, say, like Trafalgar Street, like Kia crossing, which is a cost to the school already. We pay for staff members to be out there in the morning, and then it's extra duties for our teachers and it's children involved in Kias. If you put another one, say at Westminster, that is more cost, more manpower. So that's why I'm just flagging it here. Those innovative ideas from experts need to consider all of those factors as well and the impact on us as a school. But we are really interested in, number one, getting that data, what it looks like, including behaviour of motorists and collaborating, which was the last slide, Mark. When you come up with this information, why not coming back and talking to us about it, which you have in the past that Carly outlined. And we really thank you for this opportunity to speak.
Great. Well, thank you for coming and highlighting those issues. It's really good to hear positive feedback from you about the meeting you had yesterday with staff.
Yeah.
So we'll continue working with them and with you guys to see what we can implement. We can obviously, as you say, the safety of some key thing. We might have time for any questions. If anyone's got one in mind.
Not a question, but if we could just agree as a board and note it in the minutes that we'd like to address this with urgency.
Yep.
I know we are, but I think it's really good if we have those things noted.
Could we add to that as well that they're including the other end of it, the Springfield
Yes, yeah, there's no crossing at
No
Springfield.
Springfield, there's no crossing on
Yeah,
Springfield.
and we've had members of our community come to.
Yeah, it's something that the board have talked about.
We didn't raise that because we thought it had been raised.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
concur with that.
Yeah, we want to emphasise that, yeah.
And no, we're running really tight on time today, so.
Yeah, restatement accident, there was an accident.
Sorry, I've got a question, Emma.
Way here.
Very quick one, Ellie.
Thank you. I did have my hand up right from the beginning. I just wanted to ask whether, and look, I appreciate that you've made comment about the relationship with the council having been very good and so forth. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I sense a little bit of frustration from you, and I'm not being judgmental here at all. Do you feel that you either haven't been listened to or that the engagement hasn't been as great as it should be? I do understand you appreciate the engagement you've had, but am I misreading the sense that I'm getting here?
Oh, no, well, I think personally, I've been on the board for 5 years or over 5 years, and the main person that has been dealing with this particular issue. And I feel the council have been really good with their engagement team. In fact, we wrote a letter after it was all finished for the DMP stating that Anne Campbell, who was our engagement person, was really excellent. Probably we're more frustrated that we just didn't get what we wanted. And one of the main reasons I'm frustrated personally about the response we got was, and I understand the traffic engineering behind it, but because the reason for not putting that dedicated crossing green light for our tamariki to cross Cranford Street was because the traffic would be too disrupted on Cranford Street. And I just felt for cars to wait an extra 2 minutes or less than that to let our children safely cross the road, just, I don't know, it just doesn't. It's a bit frustrating. And then we're still having this conversation a few years later.
Yeah. And I think what you might have picked up from me was not frustration. I am very, very concerned. And I'd have to say that I was out there for half an hour. There was 3 near misses in that half hour and they were close. And that is coming through. And my concern probably is, and frustration is with my community as well, and wider, that we're not logging this properly when it happens. It's just dropping into our school office and letting us know. But there would be, if we collected it correctly, there'd be hundreds, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
So
And just lastly, very quickly, do you feel the police are as involved as they should and could be, and are you liaising with them?
That's what she would say. No.
Probably no.
Okay.
However, they're probably busy.
Resourcing.
Yeah, resourcing. So, but thank you, great questions.
Great, thank you very much for taking the time to come along.
And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Right, next up, we will go to Samantha. Samantha Rochelle's. Welcome along.
Hi, my name is Samantha Lascelles and I'm a Year 13 student at St Margaret's College. Firstly, I'd like to say a massive thank you for giving me the fund offered by the Youth Development Fund. The funding was greatly appreciated and meant a lot to me and my family. I had a wonderful experience in Adelaide for the Under-20 Australian Track and Field Nationals, where I competed in the 800 metres and 1500 metres. I placed 6th in the 800 metres and the Under-20 women's race, which I'm very proud of. My highlight of the trip was being selected to represent New Zealand in the Under-24 by 400 metre relay, where we placed 2nd and broke the Under-19 and Under-20 New Zealand record by 4 seconds. It was a fantastic experience to represent New Zealand again after being selected for the Under-18 New Zealand team last year, where I competed in Brisbane. A bit of a background on me. I started competitively running at 8 years old and have had a passion for running since. I first started in competitive sport with surf lifesaving at the age of 5, which led me to a very active lifestyle. I used to row, run and do surf lifesaving until the end of last year, when I chose to focus on my running career. I'm now coached by Angie and Sam Petty, who inspire me to be the best version of myself every day. They've been so supportive and dedicated to coaching me these last few years, and I have an incredibly supportive family, and I have them to thank for my success in my running career so far. So thank you very much for giving me the fund.
You're welcome. Congratulations. Has anyone got any questions for Samantha?
That's well done. Yeah. What next? It's amazing.
So I've got an extension until June 10th to get the World Under-20 Junior qualification time because I'm a second off at the moment for the 800 metres. So I've got a race in Auckland on May the 25th. So hopefully to qualify there, and then hopefully if I get into the Oceania Invitational on June 1st, I'll have another opportunity to run the time then. That's what's upcoming for me. So hopefully that will go well.
To keep us posted.
Yep,
Yeah, I
all
will.
the best for those races.
Thank you.
And yeah, we'll look forward to seeing your name.
Yeah, very much.
Great, thanks very much, Samantha.
I had my hand raised.
We've also got Amanda here to report back on AZ. Welcome along, Amanda.
Thank you for having me. Okay, so I'd just like to start off by introducing myself. I'm Amanda, this is my mum, Sandra. And I'm just here to talk to you today about the New York and Orlando dance trip I had with She Shines On Dance Tours for my dance company, Annalise School of Dance. Next slide, please. So we started off in New York City, which was by far my highlight of the trip. I enjoyed it a lot. It was a great experience to have. And we had Joffrey Ballet School. We were able to go to all of the workshops we had, and Alvin Ailey, which is a big, for me at least, American dance theatre, which was a great experience to have. And we went to Pearl Studios, and we actually had a chance of meeting with a Broadway, ex-Broadway actress and singer for Six the Musical, and who taught us, which was a great experience, and I learnt a lot. And we went to Six the Musical, Harry Potter, and The Lion King, which was amazing. Oh, next slide, please. So just a little bit more about New York. I had a lot of new experiences and not a lot of new food I've never tried before. I learnt that American food is a lot more artificial, but still very tasty. And the Statue of Liberty was amazing, and I loved just going on the boat and enjoying that. It was great. Next slide, please. So we flew next to Orlando, Florida. So Orlando was a blast. There were a lot of parks there, as you can see. So we started off at Disney World. We went to Magical Kingdom, Disney Springs. I had a big shopping spree there. My bank,
My money.
yes, my mum's bank account is most likely drained, but worth it. We went to Epcot and Animal Kingdom, which was a lot of fun. And very hot weather, very humid. Definitely the complete opposite weather here, but still very fun. And next slide, please. So in Disney Springs, we performed our dances, which is the main reason we went to America. We got to represent New Zealand as a dance school, and it was just a great experience. I learnt a lot, and it was very hot weather when we were performing. So by the end, all of our 1 year and 1 month training were just like, okay, that was worth it. Oh, next slide, please.
A great picture.
So next up, after moving on from Disney Springs and Disney World, we moved on to Universal Studios, which I did enjoy more than Disney. It was super fun. I love Harry Potter, so I got to see all of that. And the food there was really good as well. I loved just the experience of being able to be in a book, basically, in the movie. Oh, next slide, please. And then this was our second and last lot of performances after all of the hard training and workshops, which also actually helped us into our whole concept of our last presentation, which is at Universal Studios. And I loved that. I think this was my favorite part of Florida, and it was at the end of the trip as well. So all of that knowledge was greatly used. next slide, please. Yeah, just to finish off, I'd just like to say a big thank you. It was greatly appreciated and for your support and just general thank you so much.
Could I ask you just a quick question, and I'm not being rude, but you had focused quite a bit on the food. And I kind of thought that dancers didn't eat anything.
Yeah, so we were very like scheduled. We would go to bed at like 12 o'clock at night and then we wake up at 6 o'clock. So we did have, of course, those veggies and everything, but we kind of wanted to experiment like since America kind of has more like junk food, of course. We wanted to try that because we were very tight and sometimes we didn't have time to go to the supermarkets to like make a salad or something like that. So we'd just like stop at fast food restaurant and be like, oh, this
So it was sort of an exception.
yeah.
Yeah, and they had a lot of energy. They spent a lot of energy,
Yeah.
like these workshops and this, the whole day workshop type of thing, really intense. Yeah, so
Thank
I wish I could eat like that.
First of all, congratulations, and very proud that you're taking the name up in the world. How was other team members and your interaction with girls or dancers from other part of the world?
Oh, that's a good one. So it was honestly just very different than I expected it to be. We didn't really meet with we met with in the workshops in New York City. It was very Broadway focused. So we met with a lot of like Broadway dancers who want to go to Broadway, and it was just. Sorry, what was your question?
How was the interaction?
Oh, yeah, interaction.
Yeah.
How did you interact during your workshops with the other people from other countries, other Broadway actors? Did you perform? Did you think New Zealand's up there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just.
So you make sure that they know how New Zealanders are.
Yeah, I actually I had a person come up to me after, and they said, "Oh, you guys are very talented," and we wanted to prove to them that New Zealand can be recognised.
That's right. Well done, you.
Well done. Great report back. We appreciate your presentation. And sounds like you had an amazing experience. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right, next up we have St Albans Catholic School, Abraham and Mara. Welcome along.
Kia ora koutou. My name's Abraham Atherton and I'm the principal of St Albans Catholic School. Been the principal there since 2018, and Tamara Moriarty has been our board member for the last 5 years. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak. And so we've been working with the council since 2021, looking at trying to make our streets safer for our school. So our entrances are on Rutland Street and on Song Street. Since 2021, it's been 42 emails and about 3 face-to-face meetings. Our main request was for a reduction in speed zone and safer access to school, especially with issues with the cycle lane on Rutland Street. The cycle lane merges straight onto the footpath for any drivers. Our parents are opening the passenger side into the cycle lane. So it's causing a bit of chaos with any e-bikes which are going quickly. They're not slowing down, they're going onto the footpath. And so there is a lot of danger there that we've spoken to the council. They have been active in putting a white strip to kind of show the difference between the cycle lane and the footpath, as well as a slow snail zone. However, it doesn't always impact because it is on those cyclists. We also requested for the speed limit to be lowered to 40 kilometres around the school, and on Som Street, but advised that to wait for the 30 kilometres limit, which was under proposal, and we would need to wait. And so there's been delays in approving the 30 kilometre speed limit. And in our recent correspondence, we were unable to get a clear timeframe on when reduced speed zones could occur. So it's with our meeting yesterday with the council, it seemed positive, but so did all the meetings prior. So it's very difficult to get safety increased on the cycleway. We've offered different solutions, like little judder bars on the cycle lanes to slow the cyclists down. But as our St. Albans school, for te me nui o te ao, so what's important, he tangata, it's people. And for us, we have to protect our tamariki. So, thank you. Add anything?
No, I think it's just, we really would have liked council to have given us some kind of time frame, and that's what we found very difficult to get, because we have been waiting a very long time. And it was, although you said 2021, it was May 21, so it's a really long time.
Right, we've got questions. Emma?
Som Street. What's the feedback about what's going on that street from the parents?
It's dangerous.
So wide.
Yeah, it's very wide, so
Yeah.
it's go very fast.
That's not in our area though, is it? Is it?
Yes,
It is now?
It is now.
It is now.
And it is down for a 30 lane.
Yes. Many of our parents started dropping off on Som Street because they can get a park, and so you're getting more traffic going down Som Street. When I've been driving on Som Street, I got overtaken, and so we're always thinking about how we can make it safer for our students, especially when parents are pulling out, indicating some cars coming around the corner from Hawkesbury are going very quickly.
Pauline?
Yeah, just on that, I mean, if staff could work out some sort of safe way of making Som Street a safe drop-off lane, would that be a better place for everyone to drop their kids?
Most
Yeah,
people are doing it now,
Most parents
Yeah.
are doing it, yeah.
Okay.
because you can't park on.
And did you talk
Street.
to staff about that when was the meeting about Som Street?
Do you mean council staff?
Yes.
We have yesterday, there was a proposal, which we also proposed a couple of years ago, to put even some yellow block lines right outside our entrance at least, so there is a clear zone.
Yeah,
There's also the
yeah.
cars can park right in front of the
Yeah.
main alleyway, which is our entrance. And children can't see anything, so they've said they're going to look at that, but the metre rules, they're not sure. They say they have to block off maybe 30 to 40 metres to make it yellow lines.
Emma, hold on, Ellie's got her hand up. Back to you. Ellie?
Thank you. Kia ora both. I'm sure you were there for the earlier submission from St Albans Primary. I was really interested in the stats that they presented, because I don't know about my colleagues, but I certainly hadn't seen those before. Do you keep information on, how many of your students are scooting, walking, biking, and also any incidents, near misses and so forth?
No. A lot of our community, it changes regularly on what they're doing, how they come to school. With our near misses, sometimes we've had cyclists come into school, and I've taken note of that when they've had near misses or when they've got complaints. And so 2 of our students, one had a near miss when the photographer was at St Albans School. The week before that, her sister had her bike ridden over at the intersection at Westminster. So we do take down some of those notes when it's serious. I'm on duty every morning and every afternoon, so whenever I see anything, I take note.
Thank you. I mean, I certainly wouldn't expect that you're in the business of education, not doing traffic statistics, management, but thank you for that. I just thought you may have had some. Thanks.
Emma, we got just a quick one.
The state of Som Street has been scratched for a long time. Did the staff yesterday give any indication when the road was going to be repaired?
No.
Did you ask?
No, we're not focused on.
We were focused on that.
But at a
Yeah.
very, I was just
Yeah.
wondering
Yeah.
if they didn't know, or if you got the same answer as we don't know.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming along and presenting today. We've seen the email that you got today, I think, as a result of that meeting you had with staff yesterday. And I see that the 30-kilometre that was approved by council last year, and the signage is meant to be coming later this year. Unfortunately, that's not soon enough, but it is coming. And yeah, we will keep working with staff and with you guys on those other issues and push where we can to get things done as soon as possible. We really appreciate you taking the time to highlight.
It's really helpful.
Thank you.
Thanks. Emma? Why does it, I mean, do we know why it takes so long? I mean, it's a safety issue outside school with.
We're not going to go into that now. Waiting. Right, next up, we've got Carolyn Moffat here to speak on behalf of local businesses in Edgware Village. Welcome along, Carolyn.
Thank you. So my name's Carolyn Moffat. My husband and I own Super Liquor in Edgware Village, and I'm here to speak on behalf of local businesses in Edgware Village because we would like to request that the council establish an alcohol ban in Edgware Village. There's been a significant increase in people loitering and begging in the village recently. Some of these people have also been drinking in public and have been aggressive and violent when asked to stop. Others have refused to stop, and attempts to move them on have been thwarted as they know there's no alcohol ban there at the moment. There have been many instances of loitering, alcohol consumption, public urination outside business premises. And in addition, there have been several instances of violence against business owners and staff, and police have been called many times. Members of the public are feeling increasingly concerned about the presence of people loitering in the area and begging, and many customers say that they would prefer to avoid the area because of it. We would find it a lot easier to move people on or ask the police to attend if there was such a ban in the area. While local retailers can and have been refusing service to known offenders, it is more difficult when they have purchased their alcohol elsewhere. The local businesses are all reporting incidents with people loitering, begging, drinking on the street during the day, and I'd like to share some of the feedback that I have received from local businesses. They actually sit right where my admin team sit on the other side of the glass, so it's really distressing. Not to mention the constant urination is revolting, unsanitary, marking the footpaths too, and our people just don't want to visit our office. Vomit and urine all over the footpath again on Monday this week. We constantly call the police and advise our building manager around the loitering, urinating and alcohol consuming right outside our office. I've been getting feedback from customers that they would rather shop elsewhere now as Edgware is becoming dangerous and unsafe. Edgware is a lovely village experience, not a slum. We support a liquor ban in Edgware Village. There have been too many cases of louts drinking in the area and abusing our customers. One of them attacked me not me, but someone. One of them attacked me last month after trying to steal alcohol, and when I had asked that they stop drinking on our premises. Given we only have an off licence, this kind of behaviour cannot be tolerated, and the police need support to remove these types of people from the area. I've had a full argument with the police about their lack of community policing and that they are reactive in matters like this. It's only when someone is hurt that they would get involved. I visited the Papanui police station and also called the 105 number twice, hanging up on them the second time. I've had to deal with these people every day. They steal our supplies in the morning before anyone's on site. They abuse the general public. I've had to get physical with a group of them when they thought they could enter the pub and grab all the leftover smokes. I've had to intervene several times in the car park when customers pull up and someone stands right next to their car door asking for money. Edgware has become a tolerant area for many of these people, which is destroying the ambience of the area. So those are just comments that business owners have made to me when I sent out an email asking for their response and whether they would support it and whether they felt that it was needed. And that was the response that I got back from businesses in the village. We had the misfortune to be there at 1 o'clock on Tuesday morning as our burglar alarm went off. Nothing had happened, just false alarm, but I was quite surprised at how much activity there was in the village at that time of the day. And we had to wait for about an hour for our fog cannon smoke to clear, and there were people sleeping rough outside the chemist shop there, people wandering around. Someone was going through the pot plants at Bailey's looking for cigarette butts and that. So there is a lot of activity there day and night at the moment. So we need increased police patrols in the area, and we would request that the community board help request that from the community policing team as well. I was given the name of somebody who was on the community policing team, but when I contacted him, he said that he wasn't currently on that team anymore, and he was going to send me the name of the people who were, but he hasn't done it yet. An alcohol ban in Edgware Village would help businesses move people on who are drinking and give people, police the tools to act as well. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Carolyn. Ellie's got a question.
Yeah, thank you. I've got, I could ask about the police again and stuff, but let's just cut to the chase. What can the board do to make this happen? We can talk about why it's happening. We can talk about social issues. We can throw the old not enough resourcing thing around for the police again. But what can we do to make this happen? A ban and make sure that we've got active policing in the area. And that's really a question, I think, for the board.
Yeah, well, as a result of this presentation today, we're going to ask staff to take the next step in investigating that alcohol ban. That's something we as a board have to ask for the staff report, and then that recommendation goes to council, who make the decision on whether to start a trial of an alcohol ban. So that's the process that we're going to kick off today.
And I think today we accept the petition. You have a petition, don't you? I do. We only just started it a couple of days ago, so there's only a few signatures on it. And I've also got a list of the businesses who have supported the alcohol ban that I've been able to contact.
Yeah, we've got that list of businesses, and I think if you maybe continue collecting signatures on that petition, then we can maybe present that when it goes to council.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, Emma, further to that though, I mean, Carolyn's mentioned, constantly contacting police. Police need support to stop this. I wonder what sort of support they need, to be frank. But can we also include what we're doing? And I know we've done this many times, but can we contact police to please be more active in this area? I remember we used to have a community constable there. You'll remember that, Pauline, too. We had Megan based in the area, didn't we? Yeah, so could the board also proactively engage with police and suggest that they, up their game, to be frank?
Thank you. Thanks, Carolyn. Just an encouragement as the wheels turn and as we progress from our side, to encourage the businesses to continue reporting to police, especially because police, like any organisation, thrives on data, and that make the best case support for a ban as well. If people get frustrated with reporting, then it's as if it hasn't happened. So really, really appreciate the reporting that has happened and encourage it to continue.
Certainly, I'll pass it on to everybody. Keep reporting and try not to hang up.
Yes. Don't know what I wanted to do the other day when I was down watering the plants with my watering can.
Okay, so yeah, thank you for coming along, and we will keep in touch and push this as fast as we can, because we understand the urgency of it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you. Right, next up we have Rosina Bond. Welcome along.
Hi, thank you. I'm Rosina Bond, and this is
Sam. Hi.
We're from Meadow Street. And now, in the last year and a half, we've had quite a big problem with people living on our street in cars, caravans, camper vans, and all sorts of things. A couple of times we had a tent, but most of the time it's the caravans. Now, what happens is they do tend to come and they park outside my house a lot because I have a very big fence. And then they walk down to the Tasman Park and use the facilities, cooking, showers, etc. Then they come back and sleep in their car. Now, I've rung the police many times. I ring the council continuously. They're a bit sick of me, but at one point we've got one gentleman who comes all the time. He's been at least 12 times in the last year, staying for up to 14 days. And I take photos of him, but it's actually getting more difficult because it takes a lot of time. And I did confront them, but I'm now having to stop that. So we would like to see, we also can't drive out of our driveways and we have to get out of our car to see if there's cars coming because we can't see to get past. And recently, or in earlier part of the year, there was a couple and he was urinating on my front garden. So it is actually an issue. So I've photographed 18 occurrences this year. Now, we would like to see our road turned into a non-sleeping road. non-camper van existing road.
So this is in reference to the bylaw that's been passed, and as part of that bylaw, there appears to be exemptions. So the argument would be that down by the beach, down by New Brighton, or in the middle of the city, that's a no-go zone for quite clear reasons. However, we would argue that the draw card of having the facilities at the end of the road appears to be why our street seems to get a lot more attention. And when you've got sort of half-naked people in the middle of the afternoon on the side of their van having a shower while you're walking the kids up the road, it's just antisocial, and it seems unreasonable. And I appreciate that it was probably passed due to tourism, and that would make a whole lot of sense. But I think this has got beyond that, and it just doesn't seem to have any resolution, in the sense that the police say to call the council say to call the police, and
we've done all that.
We're sort of left holding the baby, and there doesn't seem to be any.
Or the bath water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's actually, and one of them, who has been at least 9 times this year and later last year, looks over my fence into my bedroom. And so I've actually banned my husband from going out because I don't really know what could happen. The guy's very young. He's 30, he's unemployed, a whole lot of other things, but he's just living there for up to 12, 14 days at a time. We don't know what to do anymore. Besides, I beat on the side of his camper van, like literally at 6 in the morning, and he does move, but he's just moves to the neighbours.
Right, thanks. Are there any questions? John?
Thanks. I'm just trying to get a picture, or not get too graphic a picture of it, but
good section.
So it's not, these are freedom livers, not freedom campers, right? That's a long.
Well, no, it's both.
Yeah.
So there's tourists, like for instance, German tourists this year, 2 lots in 3 days in a row, and they went to the camper van, slept back in their car, urinated all over my lawn. They're freedom campers, I assume, because they're foreign. They go to the airport the next day, right?
Yeah.
But these other people are living in their permanent.
Yeah, so have some of them been there for a long time, like multiple
14 days.
14 days you mentioned.
Yeah, because we.
And then they
He goes away,
comes back. Yeah.
Got it. I'm just trying to find if there's an itinerancy to it, like
yeah, I mean, and this is
street or to another street. Do you think?
Well, we have spotted him over the road. What's the?
And in Cranford Street.
Yeah.
On the free land, which I've suggested he moves into.
But it's, I mean, this is quite a serious caravan too. This isn't, you know,
5 car parks.
This is a fifth wheel, sits on the back of a small pickup truck. It's not like it goes to a tow ball. This is a serious outfit, and where, you know, it expands out to the side. And but when he's sat, he's staring straight into Rosina's bedroom. And it just seems unreasonable.
The police can't do anything because they say to ring the council, and then the council will say, oh, well, he's got 2 days.
So why can't the police do anything?
Because he's not doing anything. It's council problem.
Speaking, Tom.
Yeah.
Right, we've got a couple of questions, and then we do have to wind it up, but I'll hold on. Emma, we've got Simon and Ali first, and Victoria.
Thank you, Rosina and Sam. Appreciate that. And Rosina, we've been back and forth on this a little bit already. And there has been some staff response in recent times, and in at least one instance, the parking law was pulled out to move some people on, is my understanding.
They only got him once.
Yeah, yes, understood. Yeah, appreciate you sort of raising it here, and just acknowledging that. It seems like a reasonable ask for your street to be added to that list of prohibited areas under the bylaw.
Yeah.
Certainly, I'm happy to see what we can do to progress that.
Oh, that'd be great.
Ali?
So is that?
Yeah, look.
We can't.
Yeah.
No, but is that what you?
Yeah, we'll sum that up in a minute.
Yeah,
Ali?
yeah, look, I'm so sorry you've got to deal with this. I know Meadow Street very well, and living in the bus and the Tasman campground for a number of months while our house was being built, I know the facility very well too. I think Tasman would be rather concerned to hear that people are using their facilities. Now, I don't know how they can actually...
Yeah, we're on them. As soon as I see them, if I'm out, I ring them straight away. But it's usually only security guards are there. So, you know, it can't really approach. Sam's found drug paraphernalia.
Yeah. So I live further down the street at number 40 and back on directly to the holiday park. And when I mow the berm and the strip down my long driveway, I find a drug paraphernalia in the bushes not 3-4 weeks ago. And it'll be that part of the berm where somebody will be showering someday or will be taking the full contents of their life onto the lawn for.
Okay. Okay, but my point was that you are engaging with the campground because clearly they're using their facilities here.
Yeah, and we do.
Yeah.
We've done everything we possibly can.
Yeah, sure. No, you shouldn't be putting up with this, and I can't accept that. I thought that the bylaw was basically you can't freedom camp anywhere, and I would be really keen to get some advice from staff on that.
They quote the bylaw at me, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so the first time we asked them, we said, "Oh, you've been here for a week." He says, "I'm allowed to stay here."
7 days.
And that's when, because it was unbeknownst to me that there was a bylaw that you could live in the
I'd
street.
be interested in some more information on that, perhaps, Emma, please. Thank you for coming, though, and I'm sorry you're putting up with that.
Victoria, you've got a quick question?
Yeah, I have, thanks. It's more towards what options we've got to try and progress this, like the sentiments expressed from Ellie. I'm just terribly sorry that you guys have got to put up with this. I'd like to know some of the advice from staff. And Simon, you mentioned that you did have some response from staff, but you were cutting out. I couldn't hear what you said that response was.
So staff have been out on site, compliance staff from council. They have issued a notice to move on because there was a breach of the parking bylaw. So the parking bylaw intersects with this as well. We had some feedback just in the last week or so from staff around a follow-up visit to the street at that time. But yeah, we can perhaps discuss it a bit more offline as well, just of time.
Yeah, I'm just keen to understand what the pathway is for this so that we've got some clear reality and, lining up between expectation and reality of what we can actually do in this space. So can you just help to clarify that so that these residents know what it is that we're going to do and what sort of timeframes we're going to be working towards?
Yep, absolutely. So we will take this away, get some advice from staff, and we'll be in contact with you about what we can do, because as everybody has said, this is not fair on you guys.
No, fair enough.
That street.
And it's been more than a year now.
Yeah.
So, without being violent, I really don't want that to happen. I don't want anyone to get hurt. I'm happy to leave all of my correspondence.
Yeah.
And I've got photos of everybody.
Okay. Right. Thank you very much for coming along and taking the time.
Thank you.
Great. So that brings us to the end of our public forums. So we have no deputations, no petitions. On to item 7, correspondence. So there's correspondence from Karen Bayliss about the Preston's Road state.
Can I just
distance cycle facilities along that section?
Can I just a quick update? This came through Kelly Barber to me, and they have actually got out there themselves and done a little bit of trimming on the side, where the asphalt runs out and then it's all grassy stuff, and then there's the road barrier, and the kids are cycling along that road, and it's very dangerous. They've actually cleared vegetation. They're wondering if council can seal it. I think we could request that, but at the very least, if they could just base course it, that shouldn't. I think it's about 60 metres.
Yeah, it's not very long, actually.
Yeah.
It's only where that barrier is.
But the board just requests that staff have a look at that and do a quick temporary fix on it while they look at a long-term permanent solution.
There's painted cycle lane each side of it.
Yeah.
It shrinks down.
Yes, yeah. Thank you. That'd be, does it need a mover? I'll move it, yeah.
Yeah, if you want to move to receive it and for that request, those two together, support.
Temporary fix. So we don't want to sound like we're just doing a temporary fix whilst waiting for a more permanent solution.
Urgent.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Fiona. Request staff investigate an urgent temporary fix.
Well, a long-term solution is.
Whilst waiting for a long-term solution. Yeah, thank you. A long-term solution. Thank you.
So who seconded that? John?
Yep.
Right, we'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
is carried. We're gonna just really quickly now jump to item 10. Hopefully this is only gonna take a minute. Trevor's got to leave by a wee bit. So this is the discretionary response fund application from Neighbourhood Trust. Any questions?
So we don't do anything.
Thank you.
No,
Emma,
I'm here.
can I ask something here? I just wondered how the rest of the board felt about increasing the amount that's being requested. Reason being, I do some work in the maternity area, midwifery area, and I know that organisations that provide parenting courses and things are extremely under pressure, and parents, especially first timers, cannot get in. And I just wanted to know how people felt about even increasing it by another $500.
They have requested 5,000. The other board has given 2.5, and we're looking at giving 2.5. So that
So the 2.5 that's being provided by the other board is part of that full 5,000 that's being requested.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, okay. My apologies. I didn't follow that. Okay, thank you.
Right, I'm happy to move it. Sunita's
I'll
seconded.
second it. Oh, okay. Yep.
Right, we'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Chair.
Right, we'll jump now back to item 8, which is the Christchurch Northern Corridor McFadden's Road at its intersection with Cranford Street. Welcome along, Lindsay. Emma?
Hi.
I understand you've got a presentation.
No presentation. Thank you very much for seeing us today for this report. Obviously we'll assume the report is read, and we're here to answer any questions that you might have.
Right, who would like to start with questions? No, okay, I'll go first. Question. Have speed counts been done along Cranford Street in the
We have. Great. So heading north, the speed surveys show that the 85th percentile speed, so 85% of people are traveling around 48 kilometers an hour heading north.
Highest and lowest?
That would be, it's North Street. 121 kilometers an hour plus as the highest, and around 20 kilometers as the lowest.
So sorry, that's Cranford or McFadden's?
That's Cranford Street heading north.
121 would be well off peak sometime in the middle of the night.
Yes, it would.
To do that. Look, I'm
No, I
happy to
watched
move
it.
this. We have to do something.
Yeah, I think.
I've just got another couple of questions.
Oh, sorry.
Sure.
So have I.
One of them, I think was the most recent one, said that you were seeking legal advice and that information will be brought back to us later about the fence, which is blocking the view of the left turners.
Yeah.
Get any progress?
Yes, we've spoken with the legal team, and there is a process that we can go through to speak to that resident about the fence. We wanted to get a decision here today prior to going and doing that, and there's going to be some next steps. Obviously, we would be talking to them about the project anyway, and then yes, we would talk to them about the fence.
So which fence is that one on the? If you're
One on the right.
On the
You
right.
left out of McFadden's, the one on the right. That blocks the view of the cars coming down Cranford Street.
So it's probably worth saying that the fence isn't over height or anything.
No.
It is a standard fence, so it would be a case of negotiating with that one and talking to them about that.
Okay. And the other one I had, one of the submitters had a suggestion of just adding, not signalising the whole intersection, but just adding a traffic light on the McFadden's approach that we read when the crossing is green. Is not something you can legally do without signalising the whole intersection?
Yeah, so you can signalise it as effectively a T intersection, but you would be signalising Cranford Street and McFadden's Road
adding in a signalised pedestrian crossing on McFadden's Road, which then kind of, you've only got the two northbound lanes. So when that pedestrian crossing's in action, the left turners will be holding up the through movement on Crawford Street. So it is something that we did look into when that submission came in. There is additional costs around that with cabling, signal hardware. So yeah, we did look into that when he made.
Yeah, that's all from me. Ellie, you've got a question?
Yeah, I've got a couple actually. What I'm confused about reading this report is that the issue, from how I understood it, was the visibility of the pedestrian crossing on Cranford from those who are turning left off McFadden's. So speed has never been the issue here, and as far as the Cranford Street approach goes, you can see that very easily coming down Cranford. It's people turning left from McFadden's. So if people turning left from McFadden's are not travelling quickly, and I assume, I don't know whether you've got speeds for people turning left from McFadden's into Cranford, have you?
No, we don't have that speed.
Okay, so if they are travelling at a speed that would normally be a speed the same or less as would be expected at a speed bump, what is the point of having a speed bump there? I'm really confused about this, because I thought it was visibility being the issue and not speed. Or are you suggesting that people turning the corner will hit the speed bump, get a fright, look up, see the light and understand that there's a pedestrian crossing there? Could you help me understand that, please?
Yep, it's more around the second point. So people turning left, they're looking right for a gap in the traffic, and they're just making the left turn and not necessarily seeing the traffic signals. Having the bump, it's not there to frighten them, it's just there to remind them that there is something ahead of them, and it is involving vulnerable road users trying to cross the road. We did look at the option of putting the platform at the actual pedestrian crossing point, but it does mean that it's a more expensive option because you have to look at grading through the existing signalised crossing. So it is just that reminder that you've turned the corner, there is a signalised crossing, please stop on the red signal.
Okay, thank you. That's what I was assuming from the report. You say remind, I say frighten. I think it depends sort of how you describe it, but I'm still confused as to why we're doing this with a speed hump. You know, the speed hump is there to slow people down, and I'm sorry, but I don't accept that it will remind people. Just going back to what Emma Norrish has suggested, overseas I've seen a lot of these very effective driver height lights. So, for example, I just want to tease out what you've said there, Gina, with regards to what's required signalisation wise. If you are sitting at the McFadden's, turning left onto Cranford, if there are pedestrians that have pressed that button to cross, why cannot at driver height on a pole to the left of that McFadden's exit onto Cranford be a red or green light that provides information for that driver turning left that they can go, they can't go? I've seen a huge amount of that overseas. Could you explain why that couldn't be done here?
Yes, so we're, I guess, council as a road controlling authority are bound what they can and can't put on the road by the regulator, which is Waka Kotahi through the traffic control devices rule. Currently, there isn't anything that would allow that. We do have that at ramp metering on the Auckland motorways when you have to stop at the limit lines. But in terms of operating red, orange and green signals, you would have to formally signalise the intersection. It's not permissible under the current rules, just to have that flashing light. We have the flashing orange lights, kind of at Sockburn Overbridge to remind you that there might be a queue, and also turning left at Travis Road, which is the option the chair raised, and we looked into that and it hasn't been as effective as Waka Kotahi. We're hoping at that location because they're still getting the red light running as well at the roundabout.
Okay, so just
at the minute.
Yeah, just further to that, you've said that currently it's not permissible, but you've quoted 2 or 3 options where it is used, and I'm not suggesting a flashing light. So what I'm suggesting, and I'm not suggesting a red, green or orange light, I'm suggesting essentially a stop-go light, which I know that we use in temporary roadworks where there's one-way traffic and so forth. So can you just explain for me why there are places that these kinds of lights can be used, but this is not one of them?
So again, it's what's permissible under the rules. When you have a red and a green, even the e-stop traffic lights that we use under traffic management still have the red, amber, green, because it's what's allowed for. The lights that they've included within traffic signs, like the examples I've given, have been through trials and have been approved by Waka Kotahi for use. What hasn't been approved for use is a red-green that can remind someone on a side road that a pedestrian crossings in operation. The best that we could do, which is currently out on the street, is the warning signs, the yellow ones that say pedestrians crossing on the left. But we kind of have to work within the rules unless we request a formal trial process through the agency.
Okay, so can I suggest we do that, and why wouldn't we do that? I'm still concerned that a speed bump costing over $100,000 is going to be put to, use your words, remind people that pedestrians are there when speed is not actually an issue. Can I ask the board to consider that and see why we couldn't actually do something like this? I think we've got to be a bit more strategic about it.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. Ellie, Emma, you had a question?
Well, I'm actually with Ali on this one. I sat there and watched it for an hour or so, and yeah, seems to me that it would just be a complete waste of $100,000, not needed. It's not going to make any difference to the cars coming around that corner. Yeah, but I wanted to know about the broader situation on McFadden's Road, brought up by the people in their submissions in regards to the area outside the two kindergartens, the speed on the road and the long queues. And I'll take it even one step further. For the end of the road, Rutland Street, watching the children trying to get across that with no crossing was actually hard to get my eyes closed. So $100,000 on putting that ramp in versus what's going on McFadden's Road for the residents.
Sorry, what was the question?
Have you paid, like, what your response to the question, to the statements from the people who submitted about from the kindies and from residents about the speed and on the street and the number of cars being backed up there? What do you think about those issues in relation to this $100,000 on a?
So I think in the report in the appendices we included a submitted table project team response and where we pass those issues to. Obviously this is in response to the safety audit serious issue that was raised by independent safety audit, which is obviously the issue of cars turning left from McFadden's onto Cranford Street. So it's very focused. That's what this report has been put forward for. In terms of the submitters' responses in regards to McFadden's Road, we have spoken to the DEMP team because they do have recorded high speeds on McFadden's Road at off-peak that can go up to that 120 kilometres per hour. So we're working with that team and those team members just to work out some possible solutions, and that will be coming through the DEMP project. And that was included in the table at the back.
Yeah, I suppose my thoughts is if you put $100,000 into making that road calmer, they're going to be in a calmer mood by the time they get up to that intersection.
I don't think it's necessarily the calmer mood, because obviously when drivers are turning left onto Cranford Street, they're actually looking right down Cranford Street for the space, and it's that is the issue that's causing people to come around the corner without watching.
From what I saw though, is that they actually see the cars slowing. So they know something's happening because they actually see the cars coming up Cranford Street slowing. So that they are actually aware that there's something going on when they're turning. because the cars coming up Cranford Street have seen the red light and are slowing down. That's what I saw. I didn't see it.
Victoria's got a question, then we'll come to you, Simon.
Thank you. My questions, the first one's in relation to costs. There's been a bit of a conversation around 100,000 there. I note at 5.1 of your report that you use the wording that these are high-level estimates, where I've no doubt that you've installed a number of these before, so we really should know what the costs are. So what confidence can you give us about the costings that you've got?
Confidence in that section. So they are based on previous projects. And in terms of saying they were high level estimates, that's because we haven't approached anybody or gone to tender for this project yet. So we do have to caveat those costs with that. In terms of option 1 and option 2, that was also in that table, which were the options that were considered and not taken forward. Obviously, they are high level estimates because they're options that haven't been explored yet, being that they were discounted due to the reasons that are included in the report.
Look, sure, I understand that, but in relation to the recommended one, we wouldn't have to, I appreciate that you do need to go out to tender, and surely you've gone out to tender on a number of other projects that are similar to that. So can you give us confidence that the 100,000 that you've got there is pretty much ballpark figure?
Yes, this is a ballpark figure, and yeah, this is based on recent projects.
Okay, thank you. So the other one I want to talk to here is, have you engaged with NZTA at all in this process? And I ask this question because this is a significant transport corridor, which are very close to the CNC. So I'd be interested to know what their thoughts are in terms of the impact this raised speed platform will have on the wider network coming into the CNC.
So the engagement we've had with Waipapa was just in relation to the red light camera that we were asked to investigate as part of the process. At that point, they didn't raise any concerns when we said that we were looking at putting the road safety platform in here. They're also on our key stakeholder list for engagement. Was it sent through that way too?
Wasn't sent through that way too with
Okay.
them. No, it wasn't sent through that way with them. We only corresponded with them about the red light running camera.
Yeah, well, with that in mind, I mean, you've said they didn't raise any concerns, but they haven't been asked specifically. I note that and when we look at our board plan and our board priorities, we make comment about how important it is to have an efficient transport network for the safety and the health and the efficiency and the well-being of all our communities to ensure they're connected. I think the efficiency of our transport network is something that we need to be concerned about, and I would like to be able to see what NZTA's thoughts are in relation to this, because this is a main transport corridor. So I wonder why do we have to rush this through today, and is this something that we as a board can ask staff to go away and to consult and ask specifically for NZTA what their thoughts are, with a very direct question around what will be the impacts of this raised safety platform on the transport network? Is there any support from the table for that?
We did actually send that email out because we did send it to our standard transport stakeholder list. So I'd like to come back and confirm that. We may not have received a direct response from them, but I'd just like to double check to see whether we did actually send it to them.
How long did it take?
Well, can I just get some clarity? You were cutting in and out. What is it that you actually asked them?
You just asked if we'd contacted NZTA, and I confirmed that I didn't think that we had done. But in hindsight, we do know that we sent it to our standard stakeholder list, and they would have been on that. So I was just requesting time to just quickly check whether that had actually gone out, and we hadn't got a response from them. I've been able to check that on my laptop.
One of the issues I've got is that it's not so much just contacting and engaging them. It's about asking them a specific question, please, on what their thoughts are in relation to the impact on the transport network, given the proximity to the CNC.
So
yeah, everybody on that standard stakeholder list would have all got the same information as part of that engagement with the letter. And we wouldn't have changed the questions we were necessarily asking when we send it out to the standard stakeholder list. But I appreciate your comment on that about directly asking them about the corridor.
Yeah, I think the only other thing to add is that this is on the upstream traffic flow. So if they were coming down from the CNC, I mean, the platforms that we have put in, people are slowing down to go over them. It's not causing major backlogs or any kind of traffic capacity issues at intersections we've put in. So I think if the platform is on the other side and there was any potential for that shuttering effect from people slowing down and backing up into the roundabout at CNC, then that's probably more of a concern at the minute. They're coming upstream, but from our network. And we're just making sure that they're traveling at 50 or slower when they're traversing the platform through that section where we still do have our active users using this corridor. And then they're on the way out. They can speed up past the roundabout to get that speed up on the northern corridor.
Right past the businesses.
I do have another question, if I may, through the chair. And it is also around engagement. I just need to get the document up because I've got my screen on. It was also in relation to 5.1 of the report where you were talking about costs. Just bear with me while I pull the documents up. You're making a comment. Let me just scroll. 5.1 costs are high level. Options 1 and 2 would also require a wider engagement process due to the impact of the changes on the directly affected community. So my question here then is, bearing in mind that all users of this transport corridor coming north are going to be affected by the raised platform, I'm surprised that there'd be wider engagement required for 1 and 2 and yet not for the recommended option. As I understand it, the only engagement that we've done has been the specific limited face-to-face with the immediate community there. And surely, given the number of people that are going to be impacted by this who are using that significant road corridor, a wider engagement process might have been more appropriate. So can you just help me understand then the rationale for thinking that options 1 and 2 there in that paragraph 5 require wider engagement and this one itself doesn't? I'm just struggling to understand the rationale for that.
So we did discuss this when we came and briefed the board, and we did talk about why a localised engagement for the recommended option was suitable. So in terms of the other 2 options, they obviously have much wider impacts in terms of being implemented. So obviously removing the left turn from McFadden's, like removing the exit onto Cranford Street, that does have an impact on the surrounding streets and does impact the Dent project as well. So there would be a wider consultation required for that. And that was the same with the signalising the McFadden's Road intersections. That obviously would open up both directions of McFadden's Road over Cranford Street. And again, that's a much wider, larger project area, therefore would need a wider engagement. The thought behind and the rationale behind the localised engagement for the raised speed platform is that obviously the platform has been proposed as a solution to a safety audit issue. And really the engagement we were really requiring was obviously the local businesses and local residents that were really impacted by the change. So the people that would be using McFadden's Road or generating traffic out of that area. And we did talk to the board when we briefed them on that. And that was something that was internally approved at council as well. As a way forward for the engagement. At the briefings, we didn't receive any feedback on that.
Okay, thank you. I've just had one final question, Em, if I can, through the chair, and that's you say there's some improvements to the McFadden's Road platform just as it's going into the intersection there. What is the nature of those improvements?
So the speed hump that's there currently is slightly lower than our preferred standard of 75 mil high, which is our usual speed hump height. It is slightly lower on the exit, so we just want to raise that. So again, just to slow people, making sure people slow to the stop line. And the one that's on the inbound lane is we've got pedestrians crossing. They're trying to see through that high fence, which is quite difficult to do. And so just slowing them down means a pedestrian crossing the road just has that extra minute or two just to see what's actually happening with the vehicles turning.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mr.
Thank you.
Chair, I have moved it.
Yes, I've just got to go to myself for a question, and then I'll check if we have any others. Thank you, Pauline. The position of the Automobile Association that raises safety platforms are a danger to motorcyclists during adverse weather conditions. Just checking if there was anything provided by the AA beyond what we see in the report to evidence that.
No, only what was received in the submission.
And checking if the council specifically has a response on that point or has any evidence around safety platforms being a hazard to motorcycles.
From the platforms that we have put in, we're not aware of any motorcycle crashes as a result of the speed platform. We do need to make sure they're well lit, and that the paint markings that we put on the approach are of a standard that's not like non-slip for motorcycles, cyclists, anyone using it, but I'm not aware of any crashes. Certainly not Lincoln Barrington. We haven't had any reported since we put the platform in. So it's just making sure those details are right and that it's well lit so people can see the platform.
Thank you. Checking for other questions. Ellie, is it online?
Yep. Yes, thank you. I note too in the submissions that it wasn't just the AA that mentioned motorcyclists. There were emergency vehicles were mentioned, ECAN mentioned as well. So, you know, there were a number of submitters that expressed some concerns about the speed platform there. And I note Victoria's comments too around NZTA. I'm wondering if there's any way we can just leave this on the table for now. I think we need to look at other options that I believe haven't been looked at. I accept that there's some discretion that can be applied, and you can approach NZTA for approval to run a trial for other options that may not be usual. And I'm wondering if we can do that because, as I've already said, the speed hump is to slow traffic down. Speed is not the issue here. It is left turning traffic into McFadden's. And I'm really concerned that we are not doing what we're supposed to be doing at a massive cost. And I think we need to spend some more time and look at other options that are actually going to achieve what we need to. So I just want to raise that with the board now to see whether we could look at going back to NZTA with some other options that aren't the speed hump, the raised humps.
So Pauline, you've moved.
Yes, but it has not been seconded.
Well, yeah, so it hasn't been seconded. So Ellie, you're wanting to amend the...
Yeah, well, I don't, you can word it whatever way you want, but I'd basically like to...
It hasn't been seconded yet, so you can...
It's been moved, but not seconded.
Not seconded, so...
Yeah. So I'd like to propose an amendment that this be laid on the table, and that there be an approach to, well, you know, that's the staff's job to do that. But what I'm hearing from Gina is that there are ways around, or there are places in Christchurch where there are other options that have been implemented to warn or to highlight upcoming issues, but that requires NZTA approval for a trial. And I think before we move ahead on something that, as I've suggested, I don't think actually fixes the problem because it's not speed that's the issue, I would very much like to be able to see if we can go back and see if there is another option that may include going back to NZTA.
Gemma, do you just want to clarify, because I don't think Ellie's fully understanding what you were saying about the warning.
So the current warning signs that you see at Sockburn Overbridge and in particular at Travis Road with the signalised crossing on the exit there, they're approved devices for use. As part of this process, we did talk to Waipapa Papanui-Innes-Central about the success of the one at Travis Road in particular, and we did put that response in the memos back to you. And at that location, they're not being as effective as they were hoped to be, because they are still getting the red light running, especially when the kids are crossing at school. That was what we've had the feedback from the school as well. So they exist, but the success of them is questionable. On terms of a formal trial through Waipapa, it's we can request one, but it does have to go through a full traffic control devices steering group for approval. We'd have to see whether there's any other cities in New Zealand that would want to support a trial as well. There are costs associated with running formal trials, and there's evaluation processes as well. So it's not a quick process by any means. So I did just want to raise that. But yeah, the ones that are already out there aren't necessarily as effective as they would hope.
Okay, can I just ask further to that? The Travis, because I'm sorry, I missed that memo in the report. The Travis Road situation, is that the same as this, in that you've got cars coming off a side road, sitting at a stop sign, turning left, not a lot of time to see a pedestrian crossing? Is the situation exactly the same, Gina?
It's not exactly the same. So it's at the roundabout of Travis QE2 near the Shirley High School. So the vehicles are looking to the right to see what's coming through the roundabout and then making the left turn as soon as they can. It's it's a very busy roundabout. And again, they're just seeking those gaps in the traffic when they can get one. And they're not necessarily seeing that the crossings in operation at the same time. So it's a little bit
different. And what's the distance? What's the distance between that left turn and the crossing?
I can't give you a specific distance.
Oh, just is it the same as this one or similar or not?
It would be roughly the same.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Emma Norrish, for asking for that clarification. I would still like to leave this on the table. I think that this needs to be considered further with other options. And yeah, so that's what I would be asking.
A seconder for that, then we can put that motion.
Okay.
Oh, I'm happy to second that.
Okay. Okay, we'll take that as a procedural motion. Let's lay it on the table, so we won't have any debate. We'll just take a vote on that. All those in favour?
Aye.
And Victoria, you've got your hand up. And against?
No.
No.
So that is lost. Now Pauline has moved the staff recommendation, and Simon, were you seconding that?
Yep.
So we'll move to debate on that. Pauline, is your hand?
Oh, yeah, it's not. I just think that the staff have done a good report, and I appreciate that. Victoria and Ali calling for more information via NZTA, but I really don't think it's going to add any value to this, and it is a safety concern. I personally, I know I'm not a staff member, but I can't think of any other solution than this personally that we've looked at so many other options. When I've encountered left turns and you've got a speed bump, whether it's speed or not, it does alert you to other things that are going on. That's why it's there. So I think this is our best option today. So I'm hoping it'll get supported and we can get it in.
Thanks, Pauline. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you to staff for the report. I appreciate that. I feel like it's a comprehensive report, especially with the additional information that's attached to it. I'm noting in particular that this is a serious, an issue that's classified as serious in the independent safety audit, and it's been some time coming to this point. And I see the proposal that we have in front of us as I guess a little bit creative, but also financially pragmatic. I note, questions from the public, including online since the agenda was published, asking questions about other options, and I think those questions are all well responded to within the report that we have in front of us. I do just want to respond specifically to the AA submission. This might shock people, but I was on a motorcycle this morning in the wet and I managed to ride over a raised safety platform without falling off. And I'd go as far as saying if a motorcycle rider has difficulty with raised safety platforms, they need to return their licence, because it's not an issue at all. So happy to support this today.
Anyone else?
Yep.
Ali and then Emma.
Thank you. I'm not really comfortable with the raised platform recommendation, as you've heard, and I can't support this today. I note that the emergency services, ECAN, because of their buses, the buses, the AA and some drivers all express concern at the raised platforms. The nub of my concern is that we as a council seem to keep saying, hey, we can't really stop cars from hitting people, hitting kids, but if we slow them down, the damage is far less. And I really reject that kind of one-stop, one-shot mindset, that we're acknowledging that we need to improve outcomes and safety for kids and for people, but that includes enforcement and a whole lot of other stuff, not just speed. And putting in speed platforms is not a one-size-fits-all. The issue here is not seeing the traffic lights as you turn left. It is not about speed. And I appreciate that the explanation has been that the bump will make people aware, but there's enough going on roads. Simon's comment about motorcycles going over speed bumps, it's not about people falling off, it's about there being another unnecessary distraction on the road. And I think that we don't need to add more distractions and frighten people to make them aware of a pedestrian crossing. And I think there were and are other options, and we need to be far more imaginative, lead the way and be strategic on this, rather than this sledgehammer smashing a walnut and one size fits all with these speed bumps. So I can't support this today. I think it's a really expensive way to not actually address the issue, and I think that's a real shame.
Thanks, Ellie. Victoria, with your hands raised again. Yep.
Before I get started, I just had a pop-up to say that my device was about to do a restart and an upgrade. So if I drop off, and I couldn't defer it, so if I drop off, that's what's happened. So look, I'd better talk quickly here. The issue for me really here is I'm not convinced that it's going to be solving the problem. It's a difficult one. I know that I acknowledge the ticket came from me in the first place, and I want to be really clear that I do support safety initiatives and improvements for all road users, particularly the vulnerable, being pedestrians and cyclists. But there's really lots of ways of doing that, as Ali has commented, and I just don't think there's any simple solution, and I'm not convinced that this is the right one. At the risk of stating the obvious, we know that speed platforms are highly controversial, and they are being ditched in other parts of the country for various reasons. That doesn't necessarily help me here, but what I do is I recognise that some of the issues are the same. Recognising how difficult this is, and you can't please everybody, what I do is I go back to the 4 basic principles of what I promised and said that I would do with my decision making when I was elected to council. And the first one of those is asking myself, does this make sense? And it's not making sense for me. This is a major transport corridor. We recognise as a board the importance of the efficiency of our transport network, and I'm not convinced that this is going to solve the problem that we've got at the moment. So that brings on to the second question, which is, I said that I'd focus on evidence-based decision making, and where is the evidence? We don't have speed counts showing how fast the cars are going when they're turning from McFadden's into Cranford, and that is the issue. What we do know, though, is that the peak vulnerable road user activity that we've seen in the report, that occurs at the same time as the peak congestion on this road network. And so the traffic's already moving at a speed considered to be safe and survivable at 30 kilometres an hour. So it's already going safe. So that brings me on to the third issue for me, which is about fiscal prudence. Is this responsible financial stewardship? I think it's a really expensive way I still don't think it's going to solve the problem here. And the final issue for me is about, asking, have we used a fair and transparent process to get here? We've recognised that some of the other options require wider engagement. The impact of this platform is on a major transport corridor, and it's going to be significant. And I think that the localised engagement approach was not appropriate here. All road users on the Cranford Street corridor are the stakeholders, and we haven't got their voice. We know that platforms are controversial, and I think it's remiss of us to not have consulted wider, noting that this isn't generally accepted by ECAN. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm finding it difficult to support this. I do support improvements to the platform on the McFadden's road approach, but I won't be supporting the installation of the recommendation from staff today. Thank you.
Thanks, Victoria. John.
Kia ora. Yeah, a hazard's been identified, and I think we've got to put in place a control. And I think this is a very good control and a very good solution. I think the report's been very thorough. Yes, platforms are controversial, but they are a technology that's been well researched as effective. And $100,000, I grant, that is a lot of money. I respect that. And I appreciate the scrutiny that this report has had today, but it must not be missed that the alternatives are much more expensive than that. To close off that left turn would be $250,000 approximately. To signalise it, $1 million, so it's 10 times as much, right? And we can soon burn $100,000 with ongoing consultation for another 9 to 18 months or whatever, and not put this in place. And for those reasons, I feel very supportive of going ahead with it now. It's a relatively cheap option. It's relatively easy, relatively fast and effective. And indeed, the traffic flow issue, if a submitter mentioned it can be gridlock there, well, if there's gridlock, the platform's not slowing the traffic flow. And when it's not gridlock, I think Gemma outlined how there's not that closing in effect happening. So I feel very satisfied with that. I'm also happy to see that ECAN will be part of the detailed design process, as mentioned in the submissions responses. And for those reasons and among others, I feel very supportive of the plan as it is. Thanks.
John? Emma, you going to speak?
Well, not really. I mean, I'm not, I've got nothing against the safety platform going there whatsoever. Again, it's increased safety. My ongoing issue is the fact that, we are spending more money in a situation to solve a tiny little bit of the problem, and the problem is huge. And as I sat there and I watched McFadden's Road, and $100,000 being spent at the other end would be a lot safer. I think the issues of safety at the other end are huge compared to what I see at the Cranford Street end, because they do have some safety precautions there already, and there's nothing at the other end. And yeah, I just think this money is sort of, again, more wasted money that doesn't actually have a huge outcome. So, yeah, I'm very torn, because we do want to improve safety, but there are so many safety issues around that are, bigger than this issue. And I don't know why this one's, in front of us, been done and spent money on.
It was raised by Councillor Henstock.
I'll just finish up real quickly by saying, continuing on what Simon said, we've had a safety audit. It's highlighted a risk, and we need to do something to address that risk. I appreciate that we, the board, have been involved throughout this process, and we've asked staff to investigate other options, ones that we weren't looking at from the start. They've done that, and I'm comfortable that this is the best solution right now to keep those pedestrians using that crossing safe. Anyone else? Wait, no, okay, we'll put that motion. All those in favour? Aye. Against?
No.
Ellie, you're on mute. Didn't hear you.
Sorry, I'm doing 3 things at once on my phone, laptop and iPad. That's a no from me.
Right. Okay, so yes from Jake. So Ellie and Victoria, you want that recorded?
Yes, please.
Yep. Okay, so that is carried. Thanks very much, staff, for that work on that one. Right, item 9, Lancaster Park changing rooms and communities facilities construction. We've got Richard online for this one.
I'm happy to move, by the way.
Jake has moved it. Anita seconded it.
I've got a question.
Hold on, well, Richard actually has a presentation, so do you want to run through that? Yeah, Richard.
It's just, we had the workshop, we kind of know it all.
Tēnā koutou katoa, everyone. Oh, you're doing it. Okay, that's good. If we can just go to the slide, that's good. This is some time since I've spoken to you as a board about Lancaster Park, and the purpose of this one is really just to quickly go through developments and focusing on the new changing rooms and community facility building, so that we can proceed to detailed design and get them built. Next slide, please. So I thought I'd just give a couple of quick slides of where we've come from and where we're heading to. Just 4 images there of what the park was like, at least when I started working on it, once the above ground infrastructure had been demolished. We then spent a good year and a bit resurfacing and establishing 3 sports fields on the site. Last year, we carried out a small amount of planting in the southwest corner just to see how well the plants would survive growing in 200 millimeters of topsoil over concrete. Reasonably good outcome. I was there today having a look just to see how well they've established. Obviously, to activate the park, we had to get some infrastructure in place. So temporary toilets were put in, and we've recently constructed a shed which will be used for storage by the sports clubs. So I don't know how many of you would have been to the park recently, but that's more or less where it stands on the playing side of things. Next slide, please. But the major development towards the end of last year was completion of the restoration of the memorial gates, which were opened on November the 11th last year, and construction of a retaining wall and a paved area between the gates and the sports fields. And you can see for at least last year, we established some wildflowers behind the retaining wall, which didn't last very long, but looked very nice when they were there. As part of the visitor experience, we installed 12 panels behind the retaining wall outlining the history of the park and its previous uses. So very pleased with the way the gates went. It wasn't an easy project, and in a way that's delayed some of the other work that we're just about to start on, just because when you deal with an old building, you often find out that there are things you discover about its structure which weren't evident until you start chiseling away and seeing what's underneath the facade. But an interesting statistic, I was told that the gates took the entire South Island's supply of resin for strengthening the cavities in between the walls. Okay, next slide, please. So where we're heading at the moment then, this is the current spatial plan that you will have seen, I think, in the last briefing by Andrew Rutledge. On the western side is the native planting area. That's where one of the wetter sides of the park, which is also an overland flow path. In the northwest corners where the shed and the sort of infrastructure for the irrigation system is located. The memorial gate's now complete. So we're now focusing on the northeast corner, where the buildings are going to go, the changing rooms and the community facilities. And as soon as they're locked and loaded in terms of their footprint, we'll be commencing the design for the playground, which will be just beneath them. And the reason for waiting for the building to be, building design to be commenced is just so that we can integrate that design with the playground, rather than have it as 2 completely separate projects. Okay. We initially, for the buildings, put out we approached 2 architects for producing concept designs. The 2 images on the left are the first concept design, and the 2 images on the right are the second one. And the striking thing about them is how similar they are, which made it actually quite difficult to pick one over the other because they were so similar. So what we decided to do is to put out an expression of interest to the market, offering both concept designs, and we saw what came back. That occurred sort of last August, September time. We got 5 responses on the expression of interest. They were all very competent expressions. One of them subsequently pulled out, and then we then went to the market with a request for a proposal for the remaining 4. We then went through the whole tender evaluation process. It was a little bit time-consuming and prolonged, but we got there in the end. We put this out as a request for a proposal with a fixed lump sum design build fee, and eventually we have chosen a contractor to take the design forward and to build the new facilities, subject to approval from this board meeting. So the next slide, please, shows the the actual building design that was tendered. In the location that we want, there's some basic information about what it will cost, when it would be completed. We're talking about two separate buildings joined by a common roof space. The changing room would be managed by the Parks unit, and the community building would be managed through our existing community facilities network. Next slide. This is the layout. It's very similar to the one that went out with the original concept design. So on the right-hand side is the community facility, which has various flexible spaces that can be used for various functions. On the left-hand side are the changing rooms. There is a slight change in the layout of the changing rooms, and that's really been facilitated by other projects that we're working on. Because the budget now to build this sort of infrastructure is quite high, much more than it was certainly before COVID, we would normally build 4 changing rooms, and what we can only afford now really is to do 2, but we can manage 2 changing rooms as if they were 4 by making sure we've got a suitable storage space within the changing rooms, where one team comes in, changes, locks their personal gear away, goes out and plays, and that frees up the changing room for the second team to come in and do the same thing, and they lock their gear away in the second cupboard or storage area. Then the first team comes back in after they finish their game, and so on. So as long as the way the games are structured with their timing, we can operate a 2 changing room facility as if it was 4, which is an efficient way of doing it in our view. I don't know if we need to go through any more of the layout. Happy to talk about that if there are questions, but yeah, that's basically where we're at. You've got the full concept design report that was tendered in the report that I produced and the other information. So happy to answer any questions.
Great, thanks for that, Richard. Very thorough report, and we appreciate all the information and the presentation. Very exciting to see.
Yes.
Are there any questions for Richard? Emma?
How could you have a question after that very thorough?
Well, my question was just in regarding the changing rooms. Awesome idea.
Yeah.
Really love the fact that, you know, council are starting to use their spaces. You know, look at the time, at how much time these spaces are being used. So I think it's awesome. Just around, how have you got around sort of any issues around cultural expectations on that, and also male, female?
All our changing rooms now are being designed as gender neutral, and we've taken advice from several users, not just at Lancaster Park, but other facilities that are being built. There's another changing room being built at Linwood Park. We've also got changing rooms being built at Littleton Recreation Ground. So we're using a common design theme all the way through these. And one of the, I suppose from a gender neutral point of view, one of the main issues that we've incorporated in the design is to have the showers and the changing completely separate from the toilets, for example, in a physical sense. So with, you know, rather than just having it all one big open space, things like that. With the cultural aspects, we had a report produced by Matter Popery right at the beginning of the project. So we will be incorporating some of those elements into the building design as we work through from concept through to do detailed design. We're still at quite an early stage with the design. We're already really at an advanced concept design, and then we move forward quite quickly, hopefully, into developed and then detailed. And we would expect that process to take 4 or 5 months so that we can start construction hopefully around October, November time.
Excellent. I could sit here and have a long discussion with you about the type of contract that you've taken on, but we'll leave that.
It was pretty, I wouldn't say controversial, but it took a long time. I think this is a bit different in that it is a design build contract, but the other aspect of it is a fixed price contract.
Ellie, you got a question?
Yeah, just a quick one. Who was the contractor who's won the tender?
ABL, Amalgamated Builders Limited.
Okay, thank you.
Right, so Jake has moved this, and Sunita already too slow on this one, John. Sunita seconded it. Is there any debate No, okay, we'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Great. Thanks very much for your work on this, Richard. It's really
Great,
exciting.
thanks. Thank you very much.
Very good.
That takes us to our area report. Sorry about the wait, Helen.
That's all right. Only me.
It's you today.
Yeah.
Getting cold and.
I know. Yeah, it is.
Over here.
Right, we better hurry up and finish then.
The draft thing coming down.
It's gonna be like this winter. We need to find somewhere else.
Oh, there is a
I'm not sitting around.
I can.
And
Next month, you can go to the Waipapa Centre.
Here we are, that's.
Right, hold on, stay on track, please.
Any
questions?
Hang on.
Any questions?
Yeah, I've got one.
Ellie, go ahead.
Yep, thanks. Helen, are you aware that, because this is a great report, I'm really loving what you guys are putting in it, the photographs, everything. I'm particularly interested in that section. I just haven't got it in front of me. Where you, here we go, where you talk about what's coming up. I just think that's so cool and gives us such a great opportunity to promote through our Facebook page. Are you aware, though, that if I want to cut and paste from that into Facebook, I'm unable to do so?
No, I'm not aware because I'm not a Facebook user.
Okay, I think we may have had this conversation before, actually. You said that.
I think you could probably do it from the agenda on the council website.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, from the, yes, you can, but this is again something that Katie McRae has been looking at for a long time, because elected members are prevented and staff are prevented from cutting and pasting because of some ridiculous privacy issues and security issues. But I just thought I'd raise it with you, Helen, because it's such a really, and we have access to our agendas, so it's right there in front of us, Emma, and yes, I can go online and find it and all that sort of stuff.
You're not going to. That I find
no,
I'm not going to do it. This is a waste of time.
I will if I have to, but yes, you're right. It's right there in front of me. So I just wanted to raise that because it's, again, another way that elected members, I think, are restricted slightly from being able to get some of this really good information out. But yeah, thank you for the report. It's great. I just wanted to mention that in case you were unaware.
Even if it's shared on our community board page, and then we can reshare it there. Yeah, it's the privacy issues that, preventing us to do that.
Yeah, well, actually, that's a good point, Sunita. I don't know whether there's some way, I don't know, maybe you can, Emma, or is it fair to put it on you?
Offline, Ellie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just there's a little thing in there about the community controls. And is it worth us giving them a heads up about the issue that's growing around Edgware Village, especially following Caroline's comments around the late night that they were sitting down there at 1 a.m. and maybe alerting she said there's a lot of activity there and it just might be a little bit of visibility.
There was activity. I think to consider, some of the areas around the city are definitely.
Well, it's a little bit like I'm thinking, get ahead of the game a wee bit here. So it just might be worth alerting and they could just do it. All they would do is cruise by and it gives them
Yeah, that'll be good. They might already be on.
They might.
Trevor or Stacey to make sure that they've given them the nod.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I know that we do have a little bit of, some balance in the discretionary fund, and I'm wondering if we are going to give any thought to reigniting our events for our edible gardens or garden pride awards again. I noticed that especially Fenderton and Waimari, they have really good events and their pictures when they present to council. They're very well attended, and also sprayed in cashmere, and I think they all do.
Yeah,
don't
we used to do it.
And it's wonderful when you do get people together, and I appreciate why we've done this. We went kind of offline as a pandemic response. Come in. So it's a bit cold in here. We have to jump up and down to keep warm. So yeah.
Board projects coming to the board for discussion consideration August, along with the strengthening community.
We can have another look. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's all up for discussion at that point.
Great. Cool.
Victoria, welcome back.
Yeah, my device did the upgrade and powered off. It's okay, I can take it offline. It was just in relation to Hallie's report, and I'll give you a call. Thanks.
Okay. Anything else from the area report? No. Okay, do we have a mover and a seconder for that one, Simon? I'll second it. put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
That's carried.
Well done.
Thank you very much, Helen. Appreciate the report. Thanks, Mike, for your. Just quickly before we go to the elected members information exchange, I'm going to be a real pain and jump back to the public forum. I actually wanted to make a resolution. I'll do that.
We can't make
Okay,
it.
scratch that.
But you can note an action.
We note an action, just about the asking staff to look into the edgeware. Yes, look at that. I just want to.
Oh, yeah, that would definitely be, I'll take
Did we
that as an
formally
action.
note it in
That-
the?
That's a request
Okay,
for,
cool.
to refer
No,
to
that's all I was
staff.
after. I just wanted to make sure.
Absolutely.
And so just
Okay, in that case.
a process question about that. So she did lodge some correspondence. So why couldn't we have just tabled it as correspondence and then you can bring an action?
We can't do public forum and correspondence.
Well, she could have done deputation to the correspondence?
No, sorry, are we talking about the alcohol ban or the?
Yeah.
No, but that you've done it exactly as the process that I'll take the action from the public forum, which starts the process in the same way as it would have if it came another way. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, no, we did talk about that beforehand and how that way worked. Yeah. Okay, so elected members information exchange.
It's cold in here.
Noted, we'll put that in here.
Ready for that.
Okay, thanks, Emma.
Anyone else?
For me, one question more than sharing something new. With the Rutland Street speed, reducing speed was approved a year ago. Why is it so long to put a sign? Like,
Same with this Papanui area.
Yeah, there's a whole
why
bunch
do we need a year to put sign?
Well, and I also noted the things like even from last month, the yellow lines on Innes Road and things. I mean, you think that
Does this, yeah, does this take this long? Like I've
heard that question being asked of staff since those went through, and I think through the media inquiries, it's come up a few times. And I can't off the top of my head remember what the response has been.
Like what I'm trying to understand is the process. Does it goes further? Like once things have been approved, does it go to the person who makes the sign and then the one who installs it?
That one was different because it was a slow speed neighbourhood across the city that were all approved at the same time. But Mark can maybe chase that up and just get an answer for us as to why it is taking so long.
Yeah.
For that particular.
Please.
One.
Well, and as I say, the two things that the yellow lines on Innes Road have been done.
Those ones, the staff reports usually say how long they will take to implement. Yeah, usually I think the yellow, I think it usually says about 4 weeks or so.
You could look on your open actions.
Right, anything else?
Yeah, can I ask a question, Emma, please? Just were the police supposed to come to the meeting today?
Roy was going to try and make it. I don't believe he did, but we can certainly point him in the direction of the our YouTube channel. And like we told you, Ali, we're doing our best to get them along and to engage. And we will continue to keep pushing that.
Okay, and look, thank you, Emma, and I know you're limited on what you can do, but can we not go higher than this? Can we not go to council? Can we not get the mayor involved? Can we not go to, the local commissioner? I mean, who are we liaising with?
This birthday coming up,
Yeah, we'll follow that up.
Yeah.
We holiday?
Okay,
Yeah. Hi, Sunita and I visited a agency called Kairos Food Rescue in the CBD recently. Kairos, they have feed into about 47 different food banks who are sort of like a retailer, if I may, of food banking, and Kairos also have a retail, to the public outlet. But by and large, they're a wholesaler who specialise in getting the food from restaurants and places, supermarkets and other businesses, and managing the supply chain issues with it. So we thought it was a very worthy thing to look at, and would encourage continuing communication and cross-pollination of process between the various food banks and agencies.
And if we can add, about them in our newsletter, that would be great, just to make others aware. But they're doing a good job. Yeah.
Yeah, very impressed.
It's good. Thanks for that. Pauline and Victoria and Simon and I attended the Papanui Anzac service a couple of weeks ago, and that was really fantastic. Really good turnout again.
How many people did he say? Did he say 12,000?
Oh, wow.
Told me 12,000.
I don't think it would be that many. 12,000 in there. No, not sure. I'm not sure.
There were thousands though. It was huge.
Yeah, it was a really good turnout. And we laid a wreath on behalf of the board as well, which was in the area report there. Anyone else?
Phillipstown Hub, have they gone?
We attended. Yeah.
Very, very good.
Yeah, I
Very-
went.
that's-
Yeah, very well turned out.
Couldn't
Yeah.
see you there. I think I missed you.
No, even Jake, John and I, we made weaving flowers. I had to help Jake though. He couldn't do it.
Of course you did. No, you can't. Harakiki.
Harakiki, yeah, so that was great. But I've been talking to people and it seems like that, they had a bit of a shaky start of the year, but it seems like they've got it in control. People looked happy. So,
yeah, it was a really good vibe.
Yeah, it's good vibe.
Well,
Yeah.
And I was encouraged by one of my market research methods is just to shut up and listen, eavesdrop on people. And as people were walking out the gate,
Creepy.
Yeah.
it is, but
No,
you're getting the truth.
Okay.
You're getting the stuff that people won't tell you if you walk up with a clipboard.
Yeah, true.
And what I heard people saying is, well, I didn't really know there was so much going on there. So it was engaging with a lot of locals who wouldn't have otherwise gone to the place.
But definitely a shout out to Trevor and Stacey for their buy with the Phillipstown Hub. I'm really pleased. And Helen, of course, yeah.
And there was really good feedback on the LTP stand as well, the long-term plan. People
That's right.
putting the tokens in. It was really good.
No, it was a clever idea. They had some football, soccer. I'm always confused between two. Gears they were giving away. So that was quite cool. Only question I have is that some of the other stalls had the marquee from other boards printed out.
Yes.
I wondered where is our marquee? Why don't we have a marquee?
We have one that still says Shirley Papanui.
It was
And it was there.
It was there?
It was there.
As they covered up.
Yes,
Did they cover it up?
So who was using that, Emma? It was.
Yeah, I've got a wraparound.
Yeah.
I don't
We
know
just
what
got
it
to take the rest.
Oh, okay.
Because I know.
All right, okay. Got it, okay.
Our marquee.
So we do have,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Very good.
So who was
Yeah,
using that one? Was it a
Background wasn't.
waste minimisation
Okay,
or something,
alright.
wasn't it? A waste.
Yeah, something to do with waste
Yes, it was,
minimization, yeah. So, yeah, but so good, we can use it next time.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, cool, with the wraparound, so it's got the right board name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I've just got a couple of questions, I suppose, really. There was the email in regards to the trees on Cranford Street being damaged again, things, which is like we could at least get a lot of pressure on that. But it did note that that the owner had given a donation. And so my question would be, is when people donate to the council, where does it go?
Does it just go in the big pool?
So, because you would think that if a donation came into an area, and there has to be a process for that donation. And so where has that donation money gone and what is it doing to benefit?
And why haven't we got it?
Well, it should benefit, it's been given for a reason.
Like a DC.
And we're, because the council had already made the decision to put the trees in or whatever, which, it may go towards that cost, perhaps, but where does that donation go? And my other query was around the Lancaster, I should have brought it up, but it was nothing to do with the presentation, so I didn't. The Lancaster Park gates. So we got queried whether there was, whether the money was needed, the last bit of the budget was needed for the project. Now, that seems like a lot of staff time and a lot of follow-up where there should really be a process that says finished, not finished. And if it's not finished, it's not finished. So, the amount of time, an hour or so to follow that all up, to find out, to get the information, where is, again, the process in these projects where, you know, it's been signed off, it's finished, and the person looking through those things shouldn't have to ask those questions. Unless there's money sitting in there when it's been signed off, and then they should know
we
that it's extra money.
Do have a defect liability period for most things. which
Yeah, but it's
goes
only
for a
3
year
months.
after. No, yeah.
Oh, some are 3 months, some are a month.
They could be that, I don't know.
Yeah, but also the thing is that's also, it would be money, you know, sitting in a budget because the defect period, it happens, as you say, on all projects. So it's not something that's out of the norm in the process. Just a question. I mean, you know, like if we're looking at ways of saving money and things like that, when I see things like that come through, it's like that's a lot of money. That's a lot of effort to find that out when you should know. If the process.
Well, I'm assuming that query came from an elected member at that briefing. That's what the email that we got today said. There was a query at the LTP Capital Program briefing. So it's
did it
come
say
from
that?
an
I
elected member and staff have answered it.
And it was probably Danny.
Yeah, and the question's been asked, staff have answered. We
Yeah.
shouldn't assume it took an hour of anyone's time.
Yeah.
Well, you can assume because these things do take time.
No, I don't
You
think
do
we should.
know.
No.
They have to look it up, they have to find the right
They've
thing.
got it at their fingertips, like you said, they just go.
There was a query.
Yeah, so that's a query at a briefing that's come from an elected member.
Briefing. Okay, sorry.
And it
I
just
didn't see
means,
that- I didn't,
It just
I
means,
thought the query was coming to us.
just means that the staff member at the end of the table at the time didn't have the information, so they had to
Okay.
ask the appropriate.
And I think it's good that
Sorry.
our board.
Sorry, then it's
given up was
all-
at that briefing. Yeah.
Well, none of that made sense then because I was looking at it that they were coming to us. It's like, what are they doing?
Rewind the tape.
Yeah, rewind. Take that all away. Put it
Anyone
back.
else got anything? No? Okay, we will finish with our karakia. Kia wātia, kia mama, te ngā te tinana, te wairua, e te ara, koe e rongo whakaira, ai te runga, kia tinana, koe e tai. Thank you. Thanks everyone.
Thank you. Well